Hello and welcome to the Tough Girl Podcast, a 3-time award-winning show that aims to motivate and inspire you while increasing the amount of female role models in the media, especially in relation to adventure and physical challenges. I'm your host, Sarah Williams. If you're passionate about adventure, challenge and learning from women who have overcome obstacles and achieved remarkable things, then this is the podcast for you. Every Tuesday at 7 a.m, new episodes go live featuring incredible women who share their stories, insights and tips to help you achieve your dreams and goals. You can support the Tough Girl mission by signing up as a patron. Visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast. Keep listening until the very end as I share more information about what's going on with me with Tough Girl Challenges, give shout outs and recommend other Tough Girl Podcast episodes. More information can be found at toughgirlchallenges.com.
I'm Paula Ralph. I did what I called the long ride, and that went from Cape Town in South Africa to Nordkapp in Norway. I covered 17 countries, I believe, in 126 days. I'm currently based in the UK, but I'm kind of hopping between the UK and Dubai at the moment.
Do you have memories of riding a bike from a young age?
Actually, no. I mean, I grew up in South Africa. And we lived in the middle of nowhere. So growing up, it wasn't really that adventurous at all, to be honest. Like I wanted to get out there, but because it was in a time where it wasn't necessarily very accessible. I wasn't adventurous as I wanted to be. I had a bike when I was a kid. I used to ride it all on the dirt roads around the town and stuff. So, yeah, no, I only kind of really got sporty in my adult years, to be fair.
Was there something that happened in your adult years? Was it, whether it's because sometimes it can be like you meet a partner, you meet a really good friend, or I don't know, like something changes in you and you're just like, you've had enough and think, yeah, actually, I want to do a triathlon or I'm going to take up running or something. Can you pinpoint the moment?
So I got married and I might have picked up a little bit of weight and I'm 5'1", so I was a little rotund. And I went on holiday for my 30th birthday and I was wearing my swimming costume and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I went back to the UK and I walked into the first gym that was closest to work and I went, right, I need to lose weight. Please help. So I went on a year's journey of losing the weight. I worked with an amazing personal trainer religiously. So I used the money as the incentive to lose the weight, because if I was paying this guy, then I needed to do my part in order to achieve my goals, right? So I followed him religiously and I did extra as well on top of that in terms of my training. And that just kind of changed my whole outlook on fitness and, encouraging others to live a healthier life and enjoying what you're doing. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, why are you doing it? And then I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So 2008, I joined a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club in Bath. And yeah, I'm now brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well.
When did you become a sports therapist?
2009. So I already had the background. I kind of studied, got all the knowledge, got out of college and went into retail, of all things. I think I went that route because my mum's in retail. And so me growing up, I was always dragged in to do stock takes and I worked on the tills and I packed the bags. And so I did all those things growing up, and so it kind of just, I don't know why I didn't go straight into sports when I got out of college, because I had all the knowledge and then I just kind of wasted it for years. And I went, 2008 when I started the weight loss journey and everything. And then my friends were like, oh, yeah, you're doing amazing. And then one of my other friends turns around and says, if I can make a career change now at this time of my life and do something I love, so can you. And I went, right. And the next day, I went and found a personal training course and I got all my qualifications up to date. And I slowly made the transition since sort of like 2008, 2009. So everything sort of came together.
I suppose, what would your advice and tips be for women who are like, right, actually, do you know what? I'm not feeling comfortable in my body, or I'm not feeling comfortable where I'm at the moment. I do need to make some changes. What would your advice and tips be?
I always said the same thing to all my clients when I was doing PT work. We have to find something that you enjoy, because not everybody enjoys lifting weights. Not everybody enjoys doing this. So if you start off making people do things they don't enjoy, they're not going to come back. You're not encouraging them to come back. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's find what you enjoy. And so I started small there and we found what they'd enjoy. And then I'd throw in a little bit of nasty stuff on the side because, you have to, because that's how you get stronger, right? So you don't want to lift the weights. Well, we kind of have to, but we're going to do some things that you enjoy as well. Like, I don't know, whatever it is. And then, so we slowly work from there. But I think you have to find your passion. You have to find the thing that you love doing.
So you're lifting, you're strong, you're investing in yourself, you've done this career change. And obviously there is quite a big sort of time period between the 2009 and the adventure, your massive cycle adventure, which you started in February 2024. I'd like you just maybe to take us back a little bit to maybe when you started to get the idea and you started to think about it and how that evolved.
The ride itself?
Yeah.
It must have been like 2020. And I was looking at this post on Facebook talking about the longest walkable road in the world, going from Cape Town to Russia, to a tiny town in Russia. And it said, you stay on the same road the whole way and this, that, and the other. And I went, oh, that's really cool. And I messaged a friend of mine and I'm like, dude, I want to do this. And he goes, well, walking is rubbish, cycle it. And I went, okay. And the next thing I know, I was announcing it all over Facebook and everybody commented and was like, this is going to be amazing. And I was like, okay, now everybody's seen it. I've got to do this thing now because everybody's expecting me to do it, which is cool because I've always wanted to do something massive. I've always had that drive and that passion to create something bigger than myself. And I just saw this as an opportunity to, again, grow as a human being. And so, it kind of blossomed from my big mouth.
So how did it evolve? So from when you sort of like shared on Facebook for you sort of like committing to the start date, like how long did you give yourself to plan, to train, to prepare? Or are you not a planner? Are you more like just like, we'll figure it out as we go?
Yeah, a bit of both. So I planned to start in 2024. So I gave myself 4 years. So this happened sort of like just after COVID. Let's see, 4 years. I gave myself 4 years and I was training, but I think I was doing the wrong kind of training. I went out and I bought my bike. And then I realized my training wasn't structured enough for the bike itself because I can do everything off the bike. I just can't structure I don't know how to train on a bike. I've never been on a bike. Like that was the first time I got on a bike since I was 12, 13, maybe 14 years old. So I was like, okay, got to get back on the bike. And then I had to learn how to cycle with cleats and this, that, and the other. And of course, the first time I did 50 kilometers all by myself, I was like, amazing. And then everybody was like, yeah, Dubai's really flat. I'm like, okay. And they're like, the rest of the world's not flat, right? I'm like, okay. So I'm like, maybe I need to, I don't know, do this hill training stuff that everybody's talking about. And Facebook and as you know, the internet and everything tends to bring up adverts as and when you talk about things. So a cycling camp came up with Ital Cycling Tours in Italy. And it was like, come do this camp. So I contacted them. I'm like, look, I'm a beginner on the cycling front. I don't want to come to the camp and then, hold up the other people, because I'm slow. I know I'm really slow. I just don't want to bother anybody. Do you think your camp will be good for me or not? Anyway, we had a Zoom call and I told them what I was doing, and they're like, get your bottom to Italy, please. So I went to Italy and met my coach, Ian. Fantastic dude. Without him, couldn't have done the ride. So he's been coaching me the whole time since 2022. And then, all the way to 2024. But I had to postpone because there was issues. Postponed to 2025, and then there was issues again. But I decided it was now or never, and I just hit the road.
So what were the challenges that you've had to overcome to even get to the start line? Because I feel sometimes those bits aren't really shared because everyone looks at, the journey, the adventure, the finish.
Yeah.
But actually sometimes the hardest thing, and especially for women as well, is actually getting to the start of the challenge. So whether it's fitness, family, money, time off work, trying to get sponsorship, there's a lot of obstacles to overcome. And I'd love to just maybe hear a little bit more about those challenges that you had to deal with, those setbacks that you had to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I got divorced in 2012 and I don't have children. So, I am just responsible for myself, which kind of made things easier in terms of family obligations. The problems I faced was I was self-employed. So I had a lot of things. Oh, well, you should be financing this yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I should be. But, also at the same time, like, you don't know my situation. You don't understand where I'm coming from. I'm self-employed, but how I work and how I operate wasn't functioning for me for the last year or so, So financially, I was already on the back foot, and I thought I had sponsors and they fell through. So I made a decision to go anyway because I'd spent 4 years training. So I'm waking up at 3:00 in the morning to go cycle at 4:00 so that I can start my day to see my clients, so that I don't interfere, my training with my clients at all, or things like that. I've invested so much time and energy. And okay, so the financial side of it was really messed up at the end of the day because unfortunately the clients kind of started to dwindle a lot and I wasn't making ends meet. And I could have then canceled the whole ride and gone, okay, I'm not in a good financial place to go and do this. But I'd already spoken so much about the ride and I'd already postponed for a year to then take another year to potentially lose sponsors again or walk away. I was just digging myself into a deeper hole. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it and let the cards fall where they may. And individuals started giving to the GoFundMe page that I put up, knowing full well that they were helping me on the journey. And people started attacking me for that. And I'm like, hang on, but people do this all the time. Athletes do this all the time. They create a GoFundMe so that they can do this ride, do this thing, do whatever. So, I don't understand why everybody's attacking me about it when there are millions of people everywhere doing it all the time, Anyway, we got through that, but that kind of hurt me a lot. It hurt the spirits a lot. And now I'm very wary about what I do say out in public because, it's like you're going to judge me. But at the meantime, it's like, I've said I'm starting a foundation because I want to help children in disadvantaged communities. And I'm not letting go of that. It's just sometimes things don't work the way you want them to work. So now you have to take a little bit of a diversion. But that diversion is so that I can get back on track to where I want to go with the vision of what I wanted to achieve in the first place.
I always think the people judging are not the people who are out there doing it, who've experienced it. Anybody who's taken on like an adventure or a physical challenge will get it and will understand it and will be supportive. But I also do think, so thank you for sharing all that, because I do actually think it's really important to talk about, especially like the financial side, because the thing when you are self-employed, when you're going away for 3 and a bit months, you've got to cover your expensive while you're on the ride, but also for your life outside of that. And you're also not making money while you're on the ride. And so then you do need to have an emergency fund in case things do go wrong. And these things can end up costing more than you think. I know I've had it happen to me when I had I got I got like a massive tooth infection and my face swelled up.
Ouch.
So, I mean, luckily I was in the UK. I was on the Southwest Coast Path, but I needed to get home, and that was a £200 train ticket.
There you go.
Yeah, which I wasn't expecting to have to pay, because otherwise I'd get on the National Express for £8. And so it's like little things like that. And also obviously the barriers, I think, especially when it comes to sponsorship for women, is the fact it's women.
Women and individual athletes that are not part of a team.
And maybe if you don't look a certain way, and
you don't know the right people,
age as well. How old are you?
Absolutely.
It's all of these things, and these are all barriers. And it's not to say the barriers are going to stop you to stop us, but they do need to be talked about so people can be aware of those challenges of even just getting yourself to the start line. So take us to the start line, or just before the start line.
So my amazing best friend Lynette in Cape Town, who has followed me through this whole journey, she happened to live 10 minutes away from where I needed to be. So she collected me 5 o'clock in the morning or something. She put my bike in the back of her truck, took me all the way down to Cape Point. It's a national park. So we waited for the gates to open, and we get to the furthest point. And there's this little sign and everything, and we're unloading my stuff, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, I don't know. It's so weird. Sometimes I think to myself, if she wasn't there, I might not have started. Because the nerves were just building up, and I was there, and I'm like, okay, she's here. She's got me for, she drove with me just for the bit out of the national park, and then we parted ways. But I'm like, okay, I've got her with me for a couple of kilometers. You can do this. You could do this. Just don't look nervous. I was so nervous. I was like, what have I done? What have I started?
Were you wanting to complete it in 126 days? Was that the goal?
No, that wasn't the goal. The goal was 72 days. Initially, I was trying to. So, of course, with the sponsorship and everything that fell through, if the sponsorship hadn't fallen through, I would have had a whole support crew with me. They were amazing lads. They were all ready and waiting. And of course, 2 years in a row, I had to say to them, sorry, lads, but it's fallen through again. But I'm going on my own. So everything I had planned and prepared for was to cycle. It was just going to be me on the bike, nothing else, water bottles and food, but everything else was going to be in a support vehicle, and they were going to follow me the whole way. And then I was trying to set the world record, the female world record from Cape to Cape. So I wanted to do it in 72, 73 days. And of course, because then I ended up going solo, it took so much longer than I anticipated, because I hadn't trained with a saddlebag and the weight, and I had a road bike that wasn't ideal, because road bikes aren't set up to take saddlebags, panniers, or whatever it is that I needed. So I ended up with a 10-liter saddlebag on the back of my bike and an 8-kilogram backpack on my back that I should never have been cycling with, but I did it anyway. And my back was fine. I'm not, I said to my coach, I think the only reason my back survived is because I'd done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for so many years, and I've been picking up 80-kilo boys for as long as I can remember now,
Yeah. When did you sort of get in your I suppose so. Obviously, very uncomfortable at the start, outside your comfort zone. How long before you got into that comfort zone did that happen?
My
Did you
groove?
say? Yeah,
I
like
don't,
yeah.
I
Where you were
don't
like,
know if I got in a groove at all, to be fair. Do you know, I think when I got out of South Africa, so as I crossed over the border into Botswana, I was like, that for me was like one country down. We've got this.
and then Botswana, Zimbabwe.
No, Botswana, Zambia,
Yeah.
Tanzania, Kenya. I got to Ethiopia. So there was a lot of chat. My mom is Christian, and so she's got a lot of sort of like Christian friends all over the world and everything like that. So there was a lot of chat coming in from my mom saying her people in Kenya are worried about my safety, because apparently there was a lot of trouble happening up in the northern bit of Kenya close to the Ethiopian border. They're a little bit against foreigners, maybe. And I'm like, Mom, it's Kenya. Kenyans are amazing people. I love them to bits. I can't see that happening. And, you know, the closer I got into Kenya, I get into Nairobi and stuff. This one lady, bless her heart, she was really panicking. And she then organized another site. So she's in a cycling group as well, which was really cool. So she put out into this group like, hey, this girl's coming, she's cycling, this is what she's doing. Can somebody just escort her for the last 200 kilometers of Kenya to the Ethiopian border, please? And this chap, Andy, we're now great friends. He messages going, right, I'll follow her in my car. Don't worry, she'll be good. So there's a town in Kenya called a little town in Kenya called Marsabit, and that's the last town between to the next stop after that would be the Ethiopian border. So I was going to meet him in Marsabit, where he happened to live, which is fabulous. So he actually came out and he's like, oh, I'll cycle with you a little bit as you're coming into Marsabit. So he actually cycled 100 because he did 50 out and 50 back with me into Marsabit. And then the next day we went to the Ethiopian border. And I said to him, like, I'm not really scared for this stretch of road. What I am really nervous about is in Ethiopia, because everybody's now coming at me. Other people are coming at me and going, what are you going to do about Ethiopia? Because you can't cycle in Ethiopia. They're shooting at each other. You know, you're a foreigner. They don't like you. No offense. You're white, you're blonde, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, so the anxiety that I felt getting up to the Ethiopian border was insane. And so I said to Andy, I'm like, hey, Andy, jokingly, wouldn't it be really cool? Because we'd really hit it off like a house on fire. And so I jokingly said to him that night, I'm like, do you think that maybe you could follow me up to Addis Ababa? Because I was always going to cycle to the capital and then get a flight from Addis Ababa over to Oman or the UAE to skip Sudan, because you can't cycle in Sudan. Unfortunately, it's such a war-torn country, you know, so you have to put your safety first, right? You can't just be stupid. So he goes, yeah, no worries, we'll do that. I'm like, oh, you're amazing. Anyway, so we happened to get to the Ethiopian border on a Saturday night. The next day was Sunday. And then there was all this complication about, you know, well, the border's closed, the customs is closed, you can't cross the border on a Sunday, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to pay us this much money. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, you know, you got to pay us. And I think they wanted somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then, of course, they were giving Andy grief about his car. And I'm like, Andy, I'm not going to put you through this, mate. Even if we do get over the border and we make it and I jump on that plane, I don't know what's going to happen to you getting back to Kenya. Like, it feels like they're not going to ever let you out of Ethiopia because the guy even turned around to Andy and said, we don't like you anyway because you're over the border. And I'm like, well, if you don't like him and he's your countryman, what do you think about me? So I turned around and I said, do you know what, mate? Forget it. We'll jump back in your car. We'll drive to Nairobi because his family lives in Nairobi. He's just in Marsabit for work. We'll drive back to Nairobi tomorrow. I'll jump on a plane and I'll fly out of Nairobi into the UAE. And then we're all safe and sound. And I can, my conscience is clear in making sure that you're safe.
So what happened? What ended up happening?
We turned around at the Ethiopian border. I didn't even go in. We didn't even step foot into Ethiopia. Turned around, went back into Kenya, went to Nairobi, dropped me off at one of the hotels right next to the airport. So all I needed to do the next day was walk to the airport and get on a plane and flew over to the UAE.
So then you carried on your cycle from the UAE. Was that then through? So what was your route then? Through Saudi Arabia, and then which way did you go?
So UAE, Saudi, Iraq, Turkey.
Was it easy getting through Iraq?
So that was the other thing. If I had kept on my time schedule, I would have been hitting Iraq in spring, which would have been perfect. And there's a couple of cyclists around there that I know that, they were like, yeah, if you're coming in, just let us know. We'll have a bit of a ride with you. So I was like really excited for that. But I happened to get into the UAE sort of like late spring. And they had everybody this year had a really early summer. And it was getting really hot. In Saudi, I was like, oh no. And Saudi is really short. Even the UAE is not it's not a big country. It's just a short stretch. And I was like, the temperatures were like 35, 38, 40. I was thinking to myself, if I go into Iraq, if I manage to get into Iraq, I can't cycle through the day. It's going to be impossible. And I was like, do you know what? I don't have a month to get my butt through Iraq either. Again, safety in terms of heat and exhaustion and all the rest of that. So my safety brain kicked in again and I went, okay, I'm going to fly over Iraq. So I took a flight out of Dammam in Saudi and I hopped over and I landed in Turkey.
Going through Turkey into Europe, and then did you stick to? Well, you probably couldn't have. Did you stick to Eastern Europe, or did you have to go through sort of?
Yeah, I could have stuck to Eastern Europe, but I didn't. I went. Let's see: Turkey, Bulgaria, Serbia, Hungary, Austria, Germany. Germany, I took the ferry then into Sweden, all up the side of Sweden, up the coastline of Sweden. Crossed into Finland for a couple of 100K, and then the rest of it was Norway.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, that mental resilience, like what were your tips and tricks of, getting through the days, the weeks?
I at the end of every day, I kind of reflected a little bit of how the day went, how I was feeling, and if I was feeling good or if I was feeling negative. I needed to just work through that process. But the next day when I woke up, I felt ready to go again. So I didn't allow those feelings to dwell too long so that the next day I could just wake up and go, right, it's a new day. I am good. Let's go again. And that's what kept me going, is just waking up every morning and going, I'm still here. I'm still on the road. The only way is forward. I can't give up now. It's like I'm in the middle of Africa, for goodness sake. You can't give up in the middle of Africa. You've got to keep moving forward. You can't go backwards. You've got to go forwards. So it's like, for me, it was a case of you kind of have to move forward with a smile. You have to smile through the pain because that's what's going to get you going. That's what's going to keep you moving. It's like, yes, it hurts. Everything hurts, mentally, physically, whatever. But if you just smile, it makes you feel better, because the most beautiful thing about Africa, and potentially the rest of the world, but I noticed it so much more in Africa, is if you smile everybody else around you is smiling and looking at you going, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. And they're encouraging you. The minute I got out of Africa, I was like, that's the hardest bit done. And then, of course, I started going into Europe and I'm like, oh, now I've got other challenges I've got to get through, but it's okay. We can do these as well.
While you were on this long ride, Cape to Cape, did you also get that opportunity to, I suppose, really think? Like, did you have that deep thinking time, or was that just something that wasn't really, that you couldn't really do because of the day-to-day challenges and being on the bike and obviously, your safety with cars and, everything else that's going on?
Yeah. So when I was on the bike, my only focus was me and the bike and the cars. You got to remember that the initial ride itself was planned with support. So, and I was trying to set a world record. So I was taking the most direct routes through every single country to get border to border to border to border. This wasn't a sightseeing mission. It was get your butt through. And so when I hit up Zambia and Tanzania, halfway through Tanzania, I was on this road. It's called the T2, which stands basically for trucks. And so I was on a truck road, the only road that did transportation, cargo transport through Zambia and through Tanzania to get to Dar es Salaam, the port. But I got hit by a truck in Zambia. And it's not because I was not concentrating. It's because there's no hard shoulder. The roads are broken. You're cycling on this lip of tar that could disappear at any second. And there's a copper truck coming up behind me. And luckily we were going uphill. So he's already laden down with sheets of copper. So he's going extra slow. And this truck in front of us started pulling off into a lay-by that I thought I would take a breather in, but this truck got in the way. So now I'm looking at the truck in front of me, and the truck behind me starts coming past me, and he decides he's now also going to go into the lay-by, and forgetting about me potentially. He thought his whole truck had come past me. Meanwhile, his cab had only just come past me, and he started moving over, and I was like, get off that, boom. And I was on the floor, and this truck had wiped me out in a split second. I was lucky. The bike survived. I survived. Nothing was broken. The next morning I woke up and the serious bruising all down the right-hand side of my body was unreal. Everything was bruised. And I said to Lynette, I'm like, Lynette, honestly, truly, girl, I think the only thing that helped me survive was the fact that I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I kind of curled up and protected my head immediately. I didn't flop about. And my backpack acted like a hard shell, like a turtle shell. And it clipped the backpack instead of my bike. So it didn't drag me under the wheels.
Ooh, that's pretty scary to go to.
It was. It was crazy. It was that moment. I mean, the driver stopped. He was devastated. I think I stopped about 5-6 trucks, and everybody climbed out and everybody was surrounding me and everybody was checking on me. And I'm like, I'm okay. I'm fine. Don't worry. And he's like, okay, can I at least take you to the next town? So I'm like, yeah, please. So he took me to the next town. And the next day I was like, I can't cycle on this road again. Like my nerves were a bit shot, understandably. So the next day I then caught a bus and I went to, I can't think of the name of the town that I got myself to, but what they're doing in Zambia right now with the help of the Chinese, I believe, is they're renewing the road. So they're renewing from the Tanzanian border down and then from the Botswanan Zambian border up, and they're going to meet in the middle. So I got good roads somewhere, and then I got that section of road, unfortunately, was really, really bad. So I caught a bus and I was like, if I get off that section of road, I'll be fine. So I did. And then it was nice new tarmac with huge, wide, hard shoulders. So yeah, there was a couple of moments there where safety had to come first. So I had to set the world record aside because I was like, yeah, I'm breaking all the rules here, but unfortunately, it is a safety thing.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were coming to sort of the end of the journey, you're in Sweden, crossing over to Finland, heading up to Norway. Were you ready to finish, or had you like fully adapted to the lifestyle, or was this now like sort of, because sometimes like the final bit, like the final push can actually be the hardest thing. You're so close, but you're so far away at the same time.
Yeah, so that's when I had my complete meltdown. So of course, the whole way there was a financial strain. I'm not going to hide that, right? So the whole way I was feeling the financial strain, and people were saying to me like, it's going to get more expensive in Europe. You got to this, that, and the other. And of course, I was constantly hungry. I was never feeding myself properly. I was always on the back foot with nutrients and things like that. And somewhere right at the start. So, like, if we go all the way back to Cape Town, within that first week, getting out of the Cape Province, maybe everything that could go wrong went wrong. And on top of it all, I managed to crack a tooth. And I'm like, well, I can't see a dentist, and I'm here now. And it wasn't bothering me at all. So I carried on. The filling had stayed in, the tooth around it had cracked. So whatever, just keep going. So I was getting into Norway, and oh man, everything was like so expensive. Just to feed myself was so expensive. And I was in Sundsvall, and I was in this little hostel because it was freezing outside. I took a tent and I hardly used it. It's so ridiculous. But anyway, I was in this little hostel and did whatever I needed to do. That next morning, I think it was the next morning, had a chat with my mom and dad, and we talked about things, and we talked about finances and this, that, and the other. And I put the phone down, and this overwhelming feeling of being completely overwhelmed hit me out of nowhere. And I went, I can't finish this. I cannot finish this. And I phoned my coach and I went, I'm done. I actually didn't phone him. I sent him a text message and I went, I'm done. I'm getting on a train and I'm coming home. I can't finish. And he goes, you are so close. What are you doing? I'll phone you. I'll phone you when I'm done with my physio session, he goes. Anyway, I'm like, no, don't worry. I'll get on a train and I'm going. He stopped his physio session right there. He phones me up and he goes, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm done. I'm emotionally, physically, mentally spent. I cannot go. He goes, do you really want to be known as the girl who almost made it Cape to Cape? And I went, yeah, no, no, that's probably not what I want to be remembered for. So I took a day and I had a really emotional day and I worked through it all. And then I went back to the drawing board and I realized actually I didn't have 1,700 kilometers left like I thought I had. I only had 1,000 kilometers left. So then the end started really coming into sight. And I was like, I've got this, like just focus a little bit now, pull yourself together. You've got this. The end is right there. But then it started getting really cold. And then I started hating my life even more. Because I was like, hang on a second, it's June. It needs to be warm here now. Why am I still freezing cold? Why is there still snow around? I'm not prepared for this. But we pushed through.
Finishing. So I don't know if you had this, but I had experience on Marathon des Sables where I finished, got the medal around my neck, felt amazing. I had like a minute and a half of joy, and then my brain just went, right, what's next? And that was that fundamentally changed something in me where I literally changed my whole life philosophy on like it wasn't just about achieving the goal. It's important to set goals, and I'm a big goal setter, but actually it was about enjoying the whole journey. So when I finish challenges, it doesn't necessarily feel very different for me. It's just almost like another enjoyable day of the adventure with it like, oh, it's really nice to finish. But how did it feel for you, reaching the very Norway, wasn't it? Yeah, like the very top of Norway. Like, how did that feel for you?
I, I think I pretty much did exactly the same as you. I went, oh, I'm here. It was like, I'm finished. The first thought that went through my head was, what the hell am I going to do tomorrow?
I mean, did you feel proud of yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I'm like, oh my gosh. And sometimes like it's still a little bit surreal, right? Like I actually did that. I actually got there. I actually finished. Like was me? Are you kidding? I mean, if you asked anybody else that know me and know who I am as a human being deep down inside, they would have been like, yeah, that's Paula all over. She definitely, we never had any doubt that she would finish. Whereas like your self-doubt and your self-belief sometimes is so tarnished that you kind of you have it and then you really don't have it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So the like looking at it, I'm like, I finished, and I wanted to celebrate. But there was these people that you get there and you think you're going to be the only one there, but you're not. So of course, like screaming and jumping for joy it's not in my nature. So I did a whole live thing on Instagram and I'm like, I made it. Can you believe it? This is amazing. And I thanked everybody. I was like, you guys are so supportive and this and that and the other. And then somebody was apparently watching from the sidelines and they're like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, I did this thing. And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. So then all of a sudden there was a crowd around me and they were all patting me on the back and telling me I was amazing and this, that, and the other. And I was like, so my friends couldn't be there because I don't know if anybody has looked into getting into Nordkapp itself. It's mission impossible. So I said to everybody, like, oh, we're going to come and we're going to be there at the finish line. I'm like, guys, don't, because getting in and out, it's insane. Like, no, it's too much money. It's mission impossible. Don't worry about it. You're there with me in spirit. So all these people suddenly standing around me, giving me pats on my back and stuff like that was like, that's the finish I needed, like it's my friends through them coming to me going, you've done it. This is incredible. And I managed to get the inevitable photo of me holding my bike above my head in joy, with the Nordkapp Globe Monument behind me. So I have that, which is amazing. And then I was like, right, okay, now I've got to get back to the hotel. And then from the hotel, I've got to get back into this other town, which was 200 kilometers away. And then I've got to get on a flight and then I've got to get to Oslo. And from Oslo, I've got to get to the UK. So the last bit was all a bit of a rush. And I'm like, so I didn't really have that moment to celebrate. And I keep saying, like, I've got 2 bottles of champagne in the fridge that I will pop, but they're still in the fridge. I haven't popped the cork on the champagne yet. So I haven't actually fully celebrated the finish of it. But it's okay. I'll do it with friends at some point.
Massive congratulations. It's a hell of a journey that you've been on. How was the adjustment back to self-employed life and like back to work and, reality, I suppose?
So I dream big dreams and I want to achieve big goals and okay, in my head, they happen instantly. And then like things come around and I'm like, oh, this is going to take longer than I anticipated, so, I'm pushing out to the universe and with emails, obviously, I'm not just wishing things. But, I want to do speaking gigs and I want to do motivational things and I'm writing my book. So I've already written a book about my life right up until that moment in time for the ride. And then I've got the book to do about the ride itself. And of course, I left the UAE in such a weird way because I sold up everything and just left, and I don't have a visa and I don't have an apartment and I didn't have a car because it was a lease car. So I just handed it back to them. So I don't have anything in the UAE. And of course, from the ride, I came back to the UK. So I need to earn some money and I'm British. So I found myself a contract job with an amazing company who are renovating the most beautiful Tudor house that you've ever seen in your entire life. It's older than old. It's grade 2 listed, and they want to do it up as a wedding venue. They're going to have like 90 something rooms at the end of the day. So, I'm living on site here and running up and down and putting plans and processes in place and stuff like that. But that took, it was like 2 months of my life just sleeping on my mum's couch. And as much as I love my parents, sleeping on a couch was killing me. And I'm not used to not working. I'm used to I've been working since I was 14, because we come from that generation. You want pocket money? There's free labor. Go work. I was behind a cash register at the age of 14, only because my mum worked for the shops. So I'm not used to having so much downtime. And I was like, I was guilt tripping myself. I think women do it quite easily. We guilt trip ourselves because we're not doing enough. And everybody's like, enjoy the downtime. You've just done this ride. And I'm like, but I can't enjoy the downtime because the downtime means that I'm not progressing forward. I'm not earning money. I'm not moving forward. And now I'm just like, okay, things are moving forward. They're just going a bit slow.
Where are you most active on social media? How can people connect with you, follow along with you? Where should they go?
So I'm on Instagram, the long ride c2c.2. Unfortunately, my first account got hacked, so I had to put .2 behind it all because I had to create a whole new account. So the long ride c2c.2, the Instagram account is probably the most active. My YouTube channel, so again, the long ride C2C. You can follow me, Paula Ralph.
And Paul, I'd love for you to have the final words of advice, final words of wisdom for other women who want to take on their own personal challenge, which may not be cycling from Cape Town or from Cape to Cape, but who do want to take on a personal challenge that means something to them. Apart from just do it, what advice and top tips would you like to share? And you can take that in any direction that you would like.
First things first, you got to, what's the P's? Failure to prepare is, you know what I mean. You have to prepare.
Fail to plan, plan to fail.
That's the one, right? So it's all in the planning. And look, at the same time, you can have all the best plans laid, but you have to be prepared to be adaptable and change at a moment's notice because anything can happen and anything can come around the corner and you have to be adaptable. But forge forward. Don't see problems as something that's going to stop you. See problems as something that you need to solve, learn from, and move forward again. As long as you keep moving forward in your life, you're going to grow. One thing that I really want to say to anybody is, your life is your life and it's about your growth and your potential and your self-belief. You don't need other people to affirm what you believe. You don't have to explain to others, rather, your dreams, your goals, your beliefs. You just need to know that what you want to achieve in your life is right for you.
Paula, thank you so much for coming on the Tough Girl podcast. It's been amazing to speak to you and best of luck with all your future adventures and challenges.
Thanks, Sarah. You've been awesome.
Hey, folks, how are we all doing? I cannot believe that we are coming to the end of November. Time is just flying by. Final push towards the end of the year. What are you focusing on? What are you trying to complete? What are you trying to work on? For me, I am deep in editing mode. So not only editing the podcast, I'm trying to edit the GR10 vlogs from when I walked across the Pyrenees this summer, but also I do need to edit the Southwest Coast Path vlogs as well. So I really want to get them starting to come out at the beginning of the year. I've just got to get moving. I've just got to get really committed, really focused and get into the weeds. And to be honest, take action. As soon as I take action, as soon as I start editing, I know that I will get into flow. I know I'll build my momentum. I know that I can produce this content, get it uploaded to YouTube and get it out and shared with you guys so that you can watch the journeys unfold in real time. I know a few have been asking about them, but I am in the editing zone. So I've done all of the interviews until the end of this year, which is pretty epic. And I'll be doing another interview block at the end of January, beginning of February. So if you've got any amazing women that you would like me to interview, to speak to, or any women who've previously been on the Tough Girl podcast, you think, oh, do you know, it's been a while since we've last spoke to them. Let's have a catch-up episode. Let's do a Tough Girl podcast extra. Then please do reach out. Send me an email, sarah@toughgirlchallenges.com. Send me a DM at Tough Girl Challenges. It'll be awesome to hear from you. If you've got any feedback for me, if you think there's anything that I should be doing differently, anything that I could work on, anything that I could improve, please do let me know. One caveat being, it is just me. I am like a solo entrepreneur having to do everything, and that involves time constraints. And I am also like working part-time and doing my own fitness. So it is definitely a balancing act, but I will still take on board all of your feedback, all of your thoughts. I really, really do appreciate it. Just with the understanding that I can't do everything. And what I can do is due to the amazing financial support from patrons. If you'd like to support the work that I do, then please do visit Patreon, patreon.com/Tough Girl Podcast. There is currently 115 patrons paying each month, which is just absolutely amazing. And there's currently 137 patrons who are in the free category. So hopefully they will move up to the sponsored category at some point in the future when the financials align better. That would be absolutely amazing. There's a number of different tiers you can support, from $5 a month, $10, $15, $20, $25 a month, whatever it is that you can afford. It really does make a massive difference having a regular source of income coming in every single month. If you're not in a financial position to support at the moment, totally understand, then come along and subscribe, become a patron at the free level, and then you can just be kept up to date with what I'm up to. And then when things change, you can change it to paid. What else can I say? Yes, so amazing patrons, thank you so much. I really do appreciate everything. If you don't want to sign up as a patron, you can always do a one-off donation. So if you visit the website, which hopefully you have done, is toughgirlchallenges.com. This is the main central hub. And on the website, there is a start here page. There's information about the different types of challenges that I've been on. There is all of the Tough Girl podcast episodes going back to 2015, as well as Tough Girl extra episodes and the 7 Women, 7 Challenges, plus information on the Tough Girl blog. And there is a very large resources section. And if you go check out the resources section, we do have a dedicated page related to cyclists. And on there's a bit more information about different cycling challenges, whether that's cycling from London to Paris in 24 hours, cycling from London to Brighton, Le Jog, which stands from Land's End to John O'Groats. That's another great sort of cycling route. Then I have also broken it down to different sections. We've got sort of a section with women who have cycled around the world, which is really quite cool. So you can go and take a listen to Helen Dainty. She's a full-time global hobo, currently cycling the world on Aussie $100 a week. She's 5 years in. She's longer than that now. We were actually trying to arrange a catch-up episode a couple of weeks ago. We just couldn't get the dates to align. So hopefully we'll get to do a catch-up episode with Helen in early 2026. The amazing Vidangi Kulkarni, she's been on the Tough Girl podcast quite a few times now, talking about her around the world adventures. She cycled around the world twice. So that's pretty cool. Helen Langridge, she shared more about cycling Le Jog solo and unsupported in 2015, and then cycling 30,000 kilometers around the world with her future husband, which is really awesome. Jenny Graham, so she was the fastest woman to cycle around the world. That has now been the record has been broken by Lael Wilcox, which is really cool. So Lael has also been on the Tough Girl podcast as well. But then we've also just spoken to other women as well who just, enjoy cycling, taking on different challenges, which is super fun. So we've spoken with like Sherry Cardona. She's an ultra endurance cyclist, content creator, and she's tackling the toughest bikepacking races. Liz Van Linden, she cycled 5,000 miles around the UK with MS, which is where she shares her story of grit, kindness, and adventure, and the impact that that has had on her life. So if you are interested in cycling, there are lots of episodes for you to listen to. I've been thinking about cycling more, I've got this amazing map on my bedroom wall of the whole world, and I keep just thinking, how awesome would it be to cycle from Alaska all the way down to Ushuaia at the bottom of South America. I think that if I was to take on another cycle trip, so I've done like a little section in the middle, from Vancouver to Cabo San Lucas, but to do that trip from Alaska all the way down, then all the way down like through Peru and Chile, I think that would just be incredible. So that is the cycle trip that I've been thinking about. Maybe I'm talking about it now to like plant the seed, because I'd love to do that in the next couple of years. So who knows? Watch this space. Thank you so much for listening. All that's left for me to say is, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, give it your all, give it 110%. Get after it, go for it, believe in yourself, because I believe in you. Take care, lots of love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.